Thank you very much, guys, for indulging me. Anyway, before we start with the presentation, I would like to get a perception of those two pictures. I've studied in the US for 4 years, and two constant questions I had when I met with students in the class. First of all, is that do you live in a tent? And secondly, do you have a barrel of oil inside near your house? So even though those two things are abundant in Saudi Arabia, that's not the case. So I just wanted to highlight those two things. But before that, I want to talk about Saudi Arabia, first of all, pre-2016. First of all, Saudi Arabia was mostly predominantly an oil country. 95% of the revenue was mostly oil. And that was, of course, as expectable because Saudi Aramco, which is the biggest oil producer in the world, was in Saudi Arabia. It's also the most profitable company in the world, by far eclipsing giants like Apple, Alphabet, even Facebook, in terms of revenues. The net income of Saudi Aramco in 2019 was 88 billion. So there was a reason maybe for being a little bit lackluster in terms of trying to diversify. And also, it was producing double or more, even triple to the closest competitor, which was ExxonMobil. However, with oil markets, it's very cyclical, it's very volatile. It happened in the 80s, in the 90s, and it certainly happened in 2016. So in 2016, the oil crisis happened. What was the approach of the kingdom back then? Is to devise a plan which is called Vision 2030. Vision 2030 in Saudi Arabia is basically trying to transform Saudi Arabia from an oil-dependent economy to a much more diversified economy. It's a very broad idea and scope, and I don't want to bore you to death, but it's very comprehensive. Even McKinsey came up with the idea, so it's very, very comprehensive. It's approximately a 1,000 documents. But I wanted to segregate this into 4 topics or 4 key sectors that I think are relevant, at least to me, which is going to talk about the financial sector, the entertainment sector, the cultural significance, and the infrastructure. In terms of the financial side, the Public Investment Fund, which is PIF, the Sovereign Wealth Fund in Saudi Arabia, was created in 2016. It was there, but it wasn't as prominent in the 80s or 90s as it was in 2016. So it was created, basically has 347 billion in assets under management from the kingdom before it went into the crash. The purpose of why it was created, the plan was to invest funds outside of Saudi Arabia. There are approximately 200 investments up to date from the PIF, investing on multiple infrastructures outside the kingdom. 20 of them was within Tadawul, which is the Saudi Stock Exchange. Most of the investments are, of course, into Uber, which they just exited recently, Facebook, Walt Disney Company, etc. The purpose is just to try to diversify your income or your interests outside of oil. Secondly, recently in 2016, there was an annual investment forum that was held in Saudi Arabia, the first of its kind in the region, which is called Future Investment Initiative. And it's colloquially called Davos in the Desert by the Financial Times, because it's actually been held in the desert in a very big tent. But it was first of its time. The idea of it is, of course, to help promote Saudi Arabia to the world, that it's opening the country for foreign investment. It has a leg or an arm in the investment arena. So it was a very, very big hit, and it was also a very critical point in announcing Saudi Arabia to the world. Themes discussed were investments, economy, artificial intelligence, big data, cryptocurrency, and climate change. Most of them were discussed. A lot of people have attended the event. One of them, which I managed to present as a representative of Saudi Aramco to the US Secretary of Treasury, was Steve Mnuchin, BlackRock CEO Larry Fink, Japanese business magnate Mayushi Son, and which is the CEO of SoftBank. All of them, thankfully, have opened hubs in Saudi Arabia because of that plan. Secondly, the Saudi Stock Exchange, which is Tadawul. Tadawul was a regional stock exchange in Saudi Arabia. It wasn't like the New York stock market, because most of the companies are tied with Saudi Aramco, which is the oil company. So we didn't have any company that was listed or like any stocks or anything. In 2016, foreign investments were open to Saudi Arabia. And in 2019, there was a milestone for Tadawul. It hosted Saudi Aramco's IPO, which was the largest IPO in the world. We thought it was going to be listed outside, and we didn't think that Tadawul would even have the capability of hosting such a magnitude in terms of an IPO. So that was a very, very big achievement for the Saudi Stock Exchange in terms of hosting Saudi Aramco. And also, it helped in terms of giving credibility to our debt market, that it can hold an IPO like that, and from there, multiple IPOs have been done in the last couple of years. And it's also have been included into the Financial Stock Exchange Index, the S&P market emerging market indices, and all of these kinds of things. So there was credibility in terms of Tadawul going forward. Okay, this is first segment, which is the financial market. For me, the most important thing was, to be honest, the entertainment sector. In Saudi Arabia, the Saudi population basically spends 22 billion per annum in tourism and entertainment outside the country each year. And I am guilty of that because once I have any holidays or anything, I just want to get the hell out of there. So mostly went to Europe, to Japan, to Asia, and any other places, not in Saudi Arabia. So there was a statistic that most of these monies could be invested locally as opposed to being invested outside the kingdom. So the aim was to transform 25% of that investment into a local content in terms of travel, in terms of entertainment, to create a Saudi economy, because that was a very huge amount. So the mantra is basically to nurture entertainment in all forms, while also seeking to safeguard our precious cultural heritage. First of all, in 2018, the first cinema was opened in Saudi Arabia. I know this is considered something primitive, but okay, better late than better safe than sorry, you know. So first cinema was opened in 2018 in Saudi Arabia. These are cinemas in Riyadh and in the Khobar where I live. Secondly, there was something called Saudi Seasons. In 11 of the regions in Saudi Arabia, the Ministry of Entertainment decided to do something called the Saudi Seasons, where there's between approximately 17 and 15 days, where there's like a carnival and a festival in each region. Like in Riyadh, which is the capital, and Khobar, and Jeddah, which is in the western region. So basically there are festivals from there, and each festival basically harnesses the local content and the local heritage within that area. This was in Jeddah. Basically, it was the first ever Saudi ComicCon in Saudi Arabia, which was the first of its time. There was a lot of young people there who are interested in these kind of things. So the theme was to do a first Saudi ComicCon in Jeddah. This was in Sharqiyya. This is actually my cousin on the other side. So this was the first ever color run in Saudi Arabia. And Khobar also had 10,000 participants, which was a huge number. No one expected that. And the first ever Formula One race. I don't know, I mean, I'm a huge Formula fan, so that was a big deal for me. And in Riyadh, there was also the first ever Winter Wonderland. Of course, we plagiarized it from the UK, but you get the idea. And still, the idea counts. And there's also the first ever concert in Saudi Arabia. My sister is a very big Mariah Carey fan, so suffice to say she fainted when that was the case. And she came to Saudi Arabia, so that was a big deal, the first concert in Saudi Arabia. Okay, going to in terms of the cultural significance. This is very important to me because in 2018, part of one of the ideas, of course it's national news. I was in the US and I had this debate with a lot of my professors there. And thankfully in 2018 that was the case. In Saudi Arabia there was a cultural shift where basically females are to drive in Saudi Arabia, which is a huge thing. And this is one of the things that I pushed at when I was in the local council in Saudi Arabia. And that was the case in 2018. So that's a very, very big plus in Saudi Arabia and something that I was excited about. And of course, in my case, of course, it lessened the workload because I used to drive my mother north to south, you know. So now she has her own driver's license, which is a good thing. That's lessened the brain a little bit. And secondly, our consultative body, which is called the Shura Council. The Shura Council in Riyadh is basically a consultative body in Saudi Arabia where they provide ideas to the kingdom in terms of, okay, how do we go forward in terms of investments, in terms of implementing any laws, any ideas. So before 2018, there were 150 members, all male. 2017, 10 females in the council. 2018, 30 females. Gladly, right now in 2020, it's now split 75-75, which is amazing. And my aunt is all actually in the council, so that's a very good representative, you know. And this shows that this is a country that's forward-moving and it's adapting with the times, which is a very amazing thing. And also end of gender segregation in restaurants. In Saudi Arabia, there's of course usually single sections, and there's of course family sections. If you want to go with your spouse to a restaurant, you have to go to a family section. I mean, before I came here, I'm actually engaged, so if I have to be with my fiancée, we have to go to a family section, but that's not the case. I mean, everything's now open. There's no segregation. It's very friendly. Everyone can mingle and talk with everyone. That's not the case. So that's a very huge plus from my end, at least. So at least I can spend more time with my fiancée. No, I don't have to be segregating one certain object, you know. I'm being selfish, but anyway, you get the drill. Anyway, and now we're going to talk about in terms of the infrastructure. It's been talked about in the news, but it still hasn't come to fruition. But Saudi Arabia wants to diversify its economy, and one of the things that they want to talk about was infrastructure. And one of the biggest projects that they're planning on doing, which is ambitious and it's still in its infancy, which is called Neom. Neom is basically a strategic location or a smart city between Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Jordan. And it's you could say it's a $500 billion startup city, consisting mostly of 16 boroughs, roughly 33 times the size of New York. It's eco-friendly, powered by mostly wind and solar, and it's geared to become a technology hub within the region. I mean, this is just a picture of it, but still, it's in its infancy. They've just finished the airport, so the projected time of finishing the city is approximately in 2025, which is 5 years before the Vision 2030. So, but it's still, I mean, there are a lot of hiccups because the ideas are so ambitious. Because even like one of the ideas they wanted to propose when McKinsey proposed to them, or they proposed to the team that one of my friends who was in the team, they wanted to do a fake moon. Basically, everything they wanted to do, the sand, wanted to do the coloring of the sands, or it's reflective of the sunlight. And I mean, they're mostly ludicrous ideas, but but still, I mean, the idea is basically trying to get investors into this project. And so far, to be honest, to my dismay, it's going strong. And even I've read the report last night, so I just want to give it more credibility. So far, they finished the first phase, and they are 10 phases. So, first phase in 2021, there are 9 more phases in 2023. So, hopefully, that vision becomes a reality. Second thing, in January 2021, before I came to Alliance Manchester Business School, the Crown Prince proposed a city which is called The Line within Neom. The Line is basically, the idea of it is that it's a 170 kilometer city across. It's a very horizontal city. The purpose of the city is that there are no roads, no cars, no carbon emissions, mostly walking. You can do everything your daily walking from 5-minute interval. So if you want to go, for example, to any grocery store, it's within 5 minutes. If you want to go to meet a friend, it's within 5 minutes. So the idea of it's eco-friendly, no cars, 0 roads. Also, the idea is basically walkability and livability is in the DNA of the city. Communities are built within 5 minutes of walk, maximum 20 minutes between the communities. It's also being powered by wind because once Saudi Arabia signed the Paris Accord in 2018, one of the goals is to have an eco-friendly city. And the future, which is Neom and The Line, are encompassing those futures, hopefully. And and I'm hoping this vision comes to fruition. The idea was actually just established in 2021 in January, so 4 months ago. And so I'm just relaying the news from there, but hopefully that idea comes to fruition. And that's mostly my presentation. And I would like to say hopefully by 2021 or after, like 2022, I would like to welcome most of my cohort to Saudi Arabia. So thank you very much.